go ahead and get started with class tonight. I was thinking about what we might want to kind of focus on tonight, and there's so much. I feel as if there's a lot of people that are home and we're stuck in our homes, and maybe we're doing a lot of being seated, maybe doing even a lot of work on a computer. I know I'm finding myself doing a lot more computer work lately. So I thought we kind of focus on working with opening up the upper back and the chest area where we start to curl in and our head comes forward from working on those computers. And then we'll also check in with the hips to do some hip opening and strengthening stretches as well too. So I want to start just before we get too settled here, just sitting in either a cross-legged position, or you can kneel in hero's pose or sit with your legs out straight. Whatever feels more comfortable to you. Just feeling that base of the body nice and steady. Sometimes even pressing the legs down a little bit into the mat, into the support underneath of you. And then just take your arms behind you and kind of leaning up on your fingertips, being up on your fingertips. Just begin to draw the shoulder blades in toward the spine a little bit more and letting the collarbones widen. And just taking a nice deep breath here. Belly, ribs, collarbones. And exhaling belly, ribs, and collarbones. And do that 2 more times. Nice deep breath. Good. And then keeping that expansion in the upper part of the body, coming back up. Nice long spine. Feeling those shoulder blades continuing to kind of like slide down the back and move in toward the spine. Let the crown of the head reach up. And we're going to continue with that 3-part yogic breath. Just drawing the breath in through the nose, down into the belly, and then exhaling from that belly back up and out through the nose. So bringing awareness to the 3 parts of the torso here, the lower abdomen and pelvis area, and then the rib cage area, and then the upper chest, the collarbones, but also the upper back. So just letting that breath flow in through the nose, out through the nose, and that beautiful wave as it nourishes the body, as our lungs take that breath and spread that oxygen to all the cells of the body, nourishing the body with that nutrient. And then the exhales, we're exhaling the toxins released from the cells back up and out. So also as we're sitting here with our breath, we want to connect into our heart. So with our eyes closed, focusing on this breath, just feeling the center of your chest there. And one of the great ways to kind of center us and anchor us during any time that we're feeling any extra stress or anxiety or discomfort or fear is to watch the breath and connect into this heart space. And one of the best tools to do that is also using gratitude. So as you breathe this 3-part yogic breath, and you focus on the center of your chest, begin to think about something that you are grateful for today. It can be as simple as we have plenty of food in our household, or the snuggles that we had from a favorite pet, or just that extra time that you had with one of your children, if you have children. And just feeling that sense of gratitude expand in that heart space. And as you breathe, drawing that awareness and letting it expand from the center of your heart and just nourish your entire being, so that energy, that gratitude flowing from the heart center to your feet, out to your fingertips, out to the crown of the head, And our exhales, we're just letting go a little bit more. If you have some fears or some worries, concerns, just letting them flow out with that out breath, releasing them with the toxins that are being released with the body, from the body. Good. And just noticing if there's those thoughts that keep wanting to come in and kind of stir things up. And just keep drawing that awareness back to that center in the heart, the breath, and that place of gratitude. It's a great practice. You can do it anytime during the day. So let's just take our hands to the heart center, letting the thumbs gently press into the sternum, reminding us to lift from that center. If we've started to round again, which is very common when we're seated, just letting the thumbs press into that heart center, into that chest and breastbone, reminding us to lift and lengthen just a little more there. Taking a nice long, deep inhale. And then as you exhale, open the mouth, release the breath, a nice cleansing breath. Letting go a little more. We're going to inhale the next inhale, and we'll do one Om to start class. So inhaling. And just bowing the head. Taking your breath here, receiving the vibrations of that sound of Om. And then gently releasing the hands. So let's release our hips for a moment out of this position. And take your hands behind you. And just lean back on your hands and take your feet wider than your hips actually. And let your knees just flop side to side. And I love to always coordinate my movement with my breath. So inhaling these up through the center, exhaling them to the side. And then I feel like I'm moving with a little more intention and awareness. So yes, I've been calling this class mindful Hatha Yoga. And I think Hatha Yoga itself is mindful because we start to reconnect with our body and maybe notice things that during our regular everyday we may not notice anymore. But I just like to bring that piece in as we're slowing down and rediscovering ourselves and maybe changing some of the ways we've been living. So coming back to a seated position, and I want you to cross your legs the opposite way you normally would. I had to think about that for a minute. That is a little awkward. So good, finding that place. And then let's just reach the arms up nice and long and tall. And stretch, reaching really through the sides. And we're going to take the right arm outside of the right hip. And I'm not going to be mirroring you, just stretching long. So reaching that left hip down. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Creating a little more space through that side body. One more breath on the side. And then inhale, reach all the way up through the center, lengthening, and exhale the left hand outside of that left hip. Right hip is reaching down nice and long. Good. Breathing a little more space through that side body. Good. Inhale, reaching up nice and long and tall. And then float the arms down, reach behind you and clasp your hands. So you're just going to have them clasped. Reach them down toward the floor, letting the shoulders relax away from the ears. Draw the shoulder blades in a little bit more toward the spine and allow a little more space here in the front body. Good. Breathing nice deep breaths. Just opening things up a little more. Good. One more breath. And releasing those hands. Great. From here, let's come up to table next. So I want to also do just a few stretches and we'll move into a little flow from table. So hands under the shoulders, shoulder width apart, knees are hip width apart under the hips, toes are curled under. Let's just come into just a few gentle cat and cow. So inhale, we're going to lift the head and the tailbone, and exhale, press into the hands, release the head and tailbone to the floor. Just stretching open that area behind the heart. Inhaling, lifting up, widening through the collarbones. Exhale, arching the back to the ceiling. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, arch the back to the ceiling. Good. Inhale, one more, lifting up. Exhale, arching the back to the ceiling. Good. Coming back to table. Walk your hands forward into puppy stretch, keeping the hands shoulder width apart, letting the head come down between the upper arms and just stretching long through your spine. Let go of your head and neck. See how much you can just really release the head and neck here. But trying not to let the upper ribs jut out toward the floor, and the lower ribs. Keep drawing those lower ribs in toward the spine. So keep the stretch a little bit more in your shoulders. And then go ahead and release your forearms to the floor here. Bring your hands together in prayer. Draw those front lower ribs in and bend the elbows and let the hands come behind your head. So this is going to be opening the back of the upper arms, that tricep area. If you're not feeling the stretch very much here, you can walk your elbows forward a little more and slip your hips back a little bit. So just taking a few moments here to breathe into any tightness you're feeling in those shoulders. Good, and then slowly releasing the hands down out of that. And beginning to lift the torso and walk those hands back. Now we're going to keep the hands a little bit in front of you, so not quite under the shoulders, about one hand length forward. And from here, we're going to curl the toes under, lift those hips up, and press them back to a downward dog. Keep your feet about hip width apart, and go ahead and pedal through your heels, releasing one heel down, and then the other. Continuing to breathe. Remember, we're going to breathe into our belly, our ribs, our collarbones, and exhale from the belly and the ribs and the collarbones. And then we're going to begin to flow a little bit here. So we're going to exhale and drop our knees to the floor. And on an inhale, you're going to scoop, kind of going through an 8-point pose and up into a high cobra. Push the tops of the feet into the floor, the toes are pointed. Lowering the shoulders away from the ears, spreading wide through the collarbones. And then from your belly button, from your center, draw up and back to your downward dog. Good. And then exhale, knees to the ground. Inhale, scooping up into that high cobra. And then on an exhale, drawing back to downward dog. Inhale in your downward dog. Exhale, knees down. Inhale and scoop up. And exhale back from your center, from your core to downward dog. And again, exhale, knees down. Inhaling, scooping up. And exhaling back to downward dog. Inhale, exhale, drop the knees. Inhale, scooping up. And exhale, drawing from your center back. Good, we're gonna pause here, taking in the breath. Stretching nice and long. Keep a little bend in your knees if you know you have tight hamstrings or tight low back, to keep your back a little more neutral. And then go ahead and start to walk your feet toward your hands. We're just gonna hang in a forward fold. You can even hold opposite elbows. Let your head and neck completely release. So keep pressing down into your feet. And again, you can keep a little bend in your knees if you'd like here. And continue to breathe and release the head and neck as much as you can. Oftentimes, we're still holding a little bit in that neck more than we realize. Just staying here for a moment. And then let's lift up to a flat back. So hands can either be on the thighs or the lower legs or even the floor, and just stretch long through your spine. Keep your chin neutral, so a little bit tucked, so the back of the neck even gets a nice stretch. And then exhale back down. Good, we're gonna bend our knees for chair pose, Utkatasana. And then press all the way up. Nice, and release your arms down. Good. So from here, let's come to the top of our mat. And we're going to come into a little sun salutation. We'll go slow through the first round, and then we'll move a little more into the traditional one breath per movement. So again, feet will be hip width apart if that's what you're used to practicing, or you can bring them together if you're used to practicing that way. I would like you to think about looking at your second toe and lining that up with the center of your ankle. So your big toes actually come in a little bit more toward each other. And then lifting the toes if you'd like, so you can really feel the mound of the big toe and the mound of the little toe and the center of the heel. And then relaxing the toes down if you've lifted them up. Hugging your thigh muscles in, so really engaging the quadriceps, hamstrings, tailbone is neutral, lengthening up through the spine. Crown of the head reaches up. Lifting and opening through that heart center, through that breastbone. Arms are by your side. Take a deep breath in here. It's almost tahiti. And exhale. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale them to your heart in Namaskarasana. As we reach the arms up on the next inhale, turn the palms to face forward. Lift up and out of the waist, engage your glutes, and then you can take this gentle back bend. And then let's exhale our hands to our heart as we come into our forward fold. Exhaling down. Good. Let's inhale up to flat back again and just stretch long again through the spine. And exhale back down. Inhaling, we're gonna step that right foot back. Bring the right knee down in the low lunge, Sanchalasana. But I want to bring awareness as we're here, lifting up through the heart, through the chest, lengthening through the spine. So we're not just rounding in this pose, we're actually lengthening. Good, retaining the inhale you had, lift up and back to your plank. Hands are shoulder width apart, pushing through the heels, and the tailbone again is neutral. We're lengthening up through the spine and that upper chest again. Go ahead and exhale, knees, chest, and chin down. Keep the elbows in as we come through 8-point pose or Ashtangasana. Inhaling, pushing up into Bhujangasana, Cobra. And then again, you can come through table if you want, but draw from your belly button and center up and back to Adho Mukha Savasana, downward facing dog. We're going to inhale, take the right leg, draw it in through the center, and step it forward. Between your hands, your left knee comes down. And again, lengthening through the spine, all the way up through the back of the neck, the crown of the head. On an exhale, we're going to step forward to forward fold. And inhale, reaching all the way up as we push firmly into our feet. Again, gentle back bend here if you choose. And exhale, hands to heart, forward fold. Inhaling the left foot back, bring the left knee down. Retain the breath as you step back for your plank. And exhaling, knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling into Cobra. And exhaling back, downward dog. Inhaling that left foot in and up. You can also take your hand if you need to bring that foot up. And then exhale, right foot to meet the left and forward fold. Inhale, push into the feet, growing up and out of the earth. And exhale, hands by your side. First round. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do a second round, similar to that. Reaching down through your feet, lengthening through the spine, crown of the head reaching up, bridging the heavens and the earth. Take in a breath and exhale. Inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead and exhaling, hands to heart. Inhale, reach up, palms forward, gentle back bend, and exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, step the right foot back, right knee down. Retain your breath as you step back. Good. And exhaling, knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling into your cobra. And exhaling back to downward dog. Inhaling that right foot forward, left knee is down. And then exhale, left foot to meet the right, forward fold. Inhaling, reaching all the way up, gentle back bend. And exhale, forward fold. Inhaling the left foot back, left knee down. Retain the breath as you step back for a plank. And exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling into cobra. And exhaling back to downward dog. Inhaling that left foot forward, right knee down. And exhale, right foot to meet the left. Forward fold, Padmasana. Inhaling, Hasta Uttanasana. And exhaling, arms by your side. Good, we're gonna do one more round. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, opening and expanding. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right foot back, right knee down. And exhale, step back to plank. Inhale, and then exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling into cobra, and exhaling back to downward dog. Inhale the right foot forward, left knee down. Retain the breath as you step forward, forward fold. I'm sorry, exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, reaching up, gentle back bend. Exhaling from your core, forward fold. Inhaling, left foot back, left knee down. Retain the breath as you step back for plank. And exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling into cobra. Exhaling back to downward dog. Inhaling, left foot forward, right knee down. And exhale, right foot to meet the left, forward fold. Inhale, reaching all the way up. And exhaling, hands by your side. Go ahead and pause here for a moment and breathe. And just notice how your body is feeling after those three rounds of Surya Namaskar. Notice your breath, if it became a little more shallow, and see if you can bring that down again a little bit deeper. And just finding that steady rhythm of breath again. Great. One more breath here. Good, and then we're gonna come to the top of our mat. And we're gonna keep feet hip width apart for this one. And we're just gonna come through a little flow, adding in some standing postures. So 3 points of our feet, we're reaching down through those. We're hugging the thigh muscles in. We're lengthening up through the spine. Arms are down by our side. A little space in our armpits so we're not hugging them in tight. Good, crown of the head reaches up. Take a deep breath here. And as you exhale, just soften a little in this pose. Still maintaining the integrity of the pose. Inhale, reach up nice and long. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reaching up again. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your flat back. And exhale back down. You're going to inhale to Utkatasana for a moment. Good. Settling in your heels. Take your hands to your heart. Keep your left knee bent, and you're going to step the right foot back into the high lunge. So this is more crescent pose. That right thigh is kind of rolling inward a little bit. We're lifting through that as we draw the left hip back and that right hip comes forward a little bit. Left knee is over the heel. Notice if you're trying to grip the toes of that left foot into the floor. See if you can soften there a little bit. Good. Keep reaching through the back heel. That heel's directly off your leg if you can do that. Just taking a breath here. We're going to take our hands behind us, rest them at the top of your buttocks, and circle the shoulders up and back and down. Draw the shoulder blades in toward the spine. Keep drawing the front lower ribs in if they jut out, and just open up through the upper chest. Take a deep breath here. And exhale. Another deep breath in. Good. And then if you want, just take those hands, clasp them behind you, press them down, lift and open through the chest. Deep breath into the front of the chest. And exhaling. Good. Now, if you want, you can add one more step in. You can just take the torso down for a moment toward the left thigh, opening the arms up behind you, taking another breath here. Or stay up in the upper position. Good, and then swinging those arms right on down. Bringing your hands to heart, straighten that left leg. We're gonna actually take the sole of that right foot to the floor. You see that I brought it forward just a little bit. And then just switching, making sure that your left hip's drawing back, right hip forward so your hips are square to the top of your mat. Your foot is turned to about a 30-degree angle there, and your left foot's about a hip distance from the right foot. We want to hug our thigh muscles in. We don't want to hyperextend our knees. So engaging those thighs, lifting up and out of your center. So from here, just keep your hands on your hips to start. Lengthen up through the spine and keep that openness to the front of the body. On an exhale, try to lead with that openness as long as you can. You're gonna reach a point where you need to let your head release. Take your arms behind you and clasp opposite elbows. Let your head let go. Keep drawing the upper left hip kind of up and back. Press firmly into the mound of the big toe. And breathe, letting go of your head and neck. Pushing into that forward foot, lifting that torso all the way back up. And then let's just spiral our arms down to the floor, step back into downward dog. Feet are hip width, hands are shoulder width apart. And just walking through your heels if you want here. Or just coming into a nice long downward dog, pressing the heels down. Good. Nice deep breath in. Draw the belly button in and up a little bit. Reach the heels toward the floor. Take another breath. Good. This time we're going to take the right leg and step it up between the hands. So not going too far front to back here, just keeping a normal distance. Sometimes we have a tendency when we step up this way to step really far front to back. So just try to gauge that. Feet are hip width apart, and go ahead and lift the torso back up. So sinking into crescent pose on this side. Right knee is over the right heel, lifting through the back left leg. Pushing through the left heel, drawing that right hip back, left hip forward. Lifting up through the heart. So again here, let's just keep our hands at the top of our buttocks, lifting up through the heart. Circle the shoulders up and back and down. Drawing the shoulder blades toward the spine. Take a deep breath here. I know you're beginning to feel a little more heat. Just breathing. If at any time you need to rest, feel free to come out and rest in child's pose. Take your hands and clasp them the opposite direction you normally would, reaching them down or keeping them at your low back, opening up through that heart and chest. Good. And then for a few more breaths, if you want to, keeping the torso long as it comes forward over the right thigh, lifting the arms up behind you. Make sure there's no tension in the neck or the jaw. Just taking a breath here. Good. Inhale, lifting back up with that. And then from here, taking, straightening that right leg out, and then taking the left foot to the floor. A little closer, 3 to 4 feet behind the right foot. Feet are hip distance apart. Left foot is at an angle 30 to 40 degrees or so. And then draw the right hip back, left hip forward so they're square to the top of your mat. Lengthening up and out of the waist. Hands again on that low back. Inhale, lengthen. Keep that opening as you exhale, coming forward. Lengthening and keeping that openness as far as you can. And then allowing the torso to round. Keep drawing the outer right hip up and back as you press firmly into the mound of that right big toe. Keep pressing into the heel of the left foot behind you. And then holding opposite elbows. If you can remember the way you held last time, holding the opposite. Just letting that head and neck release. A few breaths here. Hugging the thigh muscles in, not hyperextending that right knee at all. Intense plank pose. Parsva Uttanasana. Good. Then inhale, lift the torso back up. Coming all the way out. Go ahead and circle the arms up on either side of that forward foot. Step the left foot to meet the right. Come into your forward fold. And then inhale, lengthening through the spine, stretch long. Take that length and come back down again. Inhale, press into your feet, reaching the arms all the way up, stretching nice and long. And exhale, arms down by your side. Good. So hopefully that felt okay. We're going to move into just a couple of other positions real quick. Well, not real quick, but mindfully. So feet again can be hip width, top of our mat. Reaching down through the 3 points of our feet, pressing into the heels, lengthening through the spine. This time we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale right into your forward fold. Inhale, lift up, stretch long, and exhale back down. Inhale, we're going to step the right foot back, pivot it to be parallel with the back edge of the mat. And then if you can heel toe that left foot over so the heel bisects that right arch. We're getting ready for Virabhadrasana too. You know, it's kind of fun because we have to sweep the right arm right on up and lift us right on up into Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. So pressing down through the outer edge of that back foot, changing your stance. If you can go a little deeper, do that. Hips are opening to the long edge of the mat. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. Left knee is over the left heel, and try not to let that fall in. That's a very common thing. If you feel like that's happening a lot, think about pressing into the mound of the left big toe, the inner heel, and while you're pushing into those 2 points, think about lifting in that arch. And that will help train those muscles that you need to keep that foot in that position. Arms come off the shoulders if you haven't already. Roll the palms up to the ceiling. Feel how that changes the shoulder blades on the back of the body. Kind of come in a little more, release a little more. Keep that opening as you roll the palms back to the floor. Good. This is open-hearted warrior. So feeling that openness. Turning to look over the left hand and looking beyond the third left finger with a soft gaze. Soft gaze is taking in the periphery. So kind of gazing beyond that finger, taking in the periphery, that nice, steady Dirga breath. Good, taking one more breath here. And we're going to straighten the left leg. Release the left arm down. And we're going to shift our hips toward the back of the mat a little bit as we hinge on that left hip. Good. Left arm is down, right arm is up. Now, I know some of you like to put your hand on your leg for a triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana. I'm going to encourage you to just try not to use that, to use your core, to open the chest to the side and to keep the strength of your core holding that torso up. You can gaze at the floor, at the horizon, or at the upper left hand, whichever feels the most comfortable for you. But feel that spaciousness, again, opening through the heart, spaciousness opening through the hips, rolling that hip open a little more. Good, and then rotating to face the floor. Hands on either side of that forward foot. Walk the left foot over till it's hip distance and drop that right knee down. You might like to have a blanket available, or you can fold up the edge of your mat to put underneath of that knee. Just gonna do a little bit more stretching here. Lift the torso up. Good. So we're kind of in Ashvasanjalasana again. I realize I'm at a little bit different angle than you may, but I just want to keep in this side if we can. And then what you want to do is lengthen up through the spine. You can shift your hips back a little bit, but bend that knee and reach back for that right ankle. And then sink again into your lunge. Just want to have you feel a little more of an opening through the front of that right thigh. Lifting and lengthening through the heart. You can feel this opening through the shoulder, turning the torso forward, breathing. Now, if you feel steady enough here, feel free to take the left arm up. Good. And just breathing, opening. Sinking into your lunge. Good. And then go ahead and release that leg. You can shift your hips back a little if you want. Taking my hands on either side of that forward foot. You can move your blanket. And we're going to step right back to downward dog. Feet are hip distance, hands are shoulder width. Lift those hips, press through the hands to push the hips up and back. And release the heels toward the floor. Let go of your head and neck here. Breathing. You can nod your head up and down, yes. Side to side, no. Good. And then we're just going to step our feet up to the top of the mat into forward fold. Press into the feet, reaching all the way up. Good. Exhale, arms down by your side. So we'll do that on the other side. So feet will start out hip width at first. Reaching down through your feet. Lengthening through the spine, up through the crown of the head. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhaling into your forward fold. And this time we're going to inhale, step the left foot back, pivot the left foot to be parallel with the back edge of the mat, and walk the right foot over. So the right foot The right heel's bisecting the left arch. And then again, we get to have some fun. Right knee can be bent as we sweep that left arm up, coming right on up into our Virabhadrasana 2. So our right heel is bisecting left arch, pressing more down into the outer edge of that left foot and opening the hips to the long side of the mat. Right knees over the right heel. And again, if you need to push into the mound of that right big toe, the inner heel can lift on the inner arch. Shoulders are stacked over our hips. Arms are up if you haven't already. Roll the palms up, drawing the shoulder blades a little more in toward the spine, feeling that change. Roll the palms to the floor, keeping that there. And again, forward gaze over the third right finger, soft gaze. Relaxing into the support of your legs, lifting and lengthening from that support through the spine, opening through that heart. Open-hearted warrior. Begin to straighten the right leg, Utthita Trikonasana. The right arm comes down. We're hinging at that right hip, sliding the torso up to the top of the mat. I just get a nice pop in my hip. Release the right hand down, left arm up. We're still opening through the hips, opening to the side. Arms are spread. Now here again, sorry, I slid. We're going to have the gaze either be at the floor, the horizon, or the upper left hand. Finding that steady breath. Good, rotating to face the floor. Hands on either side of that forward foot. Walk the right foot over to its hip width from the left and drop the left knee down to the mat or a fold of the mat or blanket. And then we're gonna lift up. Good, into that low lunge. Same thing on this side. We can shift the hips back a little bit. Reach for that ankle. No, both sides of your body are really different. If you can't reach for your ankle here and you can't do this part, it's okay to just stay in the lower lunge and breathe. You're still getting a nice opening through the front of that right hip flex, left hip flexor and left thigh. But if you can, reaching for that ankle, lifting up through the heart, breathing, feeling that opening through the left shoulder, torso faces forward. And again, if you can take that right arm up, or just keep it resting on your right thigh for support. Sometimes you can even have your hand on a block if you have that available. Taking a breath. Good, and then slowly releasing out of that. And we're gonna just lift those hips right on back to downward dog. And letting the heels walk out for a moment. Stretch nice and long. Push through the hands. Release the head and neck. Good. Breathing. And we're just going to walk our feet forward. Coming into our forward fold again. Pushing firmly into the feet. And lifting that torso almost effortlessly back up. Ready now? We're starting to get a little tired. We're going to do just a standing posture here, a balance pose, and then we'll make our way to the floor. So from standing here, we're going to come into Ardha Dhanurasana. I'm actually going to turn to the side for you guys, or dancer pose. So we'll start in the right leg. And again, 3 points of the feet are very important. It's so important. I had a dear teacher teach us this way all the time, that no matter what pose that we're in, we always want to build from that earth up, giving us that nice steady foundation. When you have that nice steady foundation, it allows a little more openness in the rest of the body and the rest of the pose. So pushing down through the 3 points of that right foot, hugging the thigh muscles in. You're going to take your left hand and you're going to spin the palm out to the left so the thumb is behind you. You're going to bend that left leg, reaching for the inside of that ankle. I think you can see that on the screen. And then from here, keep pushing down through that standing leg. Tailbone is neutral, lengthening up through the spine. Take the right arm up by the ear, alongside that temple. Now this may be enough of a balance posture for you. Balance is all about quieting the mind. So take a few moments to just focus on your breath, opening through that upper chest. Find a focal point either on the floor or a few feet ahead of you or at the wall at eye level. And then if you want, you can push that left foot into the left hand, lifting up through the heart here. We don't want to tip down to the floor as much as we want to lift and open through the heart. Good, and keep breathing. Doesn't matter how far into this pose you come. Good. One more breath. And then as we come out, I like to bring that left knee to the front. Hug it in if you can. Straighten that leg out and release it to the floor. Shake it out. Good. So we'll switch sides. Maybe I'll stay on this side so you can see this from this side. So left foot reaches to the floor. 3 points are reaching down, building that foundation. Hugging the thigh muscles in. Tailbone is neutral. This time we take the right hand and spin it so the palm is out to the right side. Thumb is pointing behind me. Reaching for the inside of that right ankle. Lengthening through the spine, feeling this openness here through the upper chest. And again, if you want, take the left arm alongside the temple. Staying here, if this is enough for you, gazing at the wall or the floor. If you want, you can begin to move and come into this a little deeper, pushing the right heel and foot into the right hand. Lifting and opening through the heart. One more breath on this side. And then again, transitioning, bringing that knee in front of you, hugging that in, lengthen through the chest. Releasing that leg out and down to the ground. Good. So I could do some fancy little transition to come down to the ground, but let's just grab a blanket and open that up. And we'll come down and rest in child's pose for a few moments. So taking your knees a little wider than hips, big toes together. And then just reaching the arms either over your head on the floor, but make sure that your forearms touch the floor, that your arms aren't out in this extended position. You want the upper arms to relax in this pose. Forehead can be in touch with the floor. The other position is taking the arms alongside your legs and resting in this way. Whichever pose you choose, just find that place where you can soften and release and let go. I like to shift my hips a little back and forth, side to side, settling in, letting my head and neck release. Remember to breathe. Keep softening with the exhales. Remember, we're letting go here. And then very gently begin to lift the torso, walking the hands towards you. Great. So I want to do a little stretch here. A couple of things. So I want to open the front of the chest just a little bit more. So I have a blanket. I didn't actually show you this. Roll the blanket up so it's nice and long, kind of like this. I'm going to place it down here. And then you're going to bring your torso when you're on your hands and knees so that the upper thighs rest on that rolled blanket. And the legs are extended behind you, toes pointing into the floor. Arms are here. You don't want to feel any stress in that low back. What I want you to do is press into the hands and pull the hands towards you as you open and lengthen through the spine. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. Stretching long through the back of the neck, not scrunching that up. Taking some nice deep breaths here. Opening up through that front of the body. Good. And then curling the toes under. Push back through your center, through your belly button. Lift up and back to a downward dog. And stretch nice and long here. Good. Breathing. And then we're going to do a nice little opening for the hips, moving your rolled blanket to the side. We're going to come into pigeon pose. So stretching nice and long here. Take the right leg and just stretch that right toes up to the sky. Draw that knee into the center and then over toward the right wrist, maybe even past the right wrist. You want to draw the right toes toward the shin as much as you can. As you can see, my heel is off the ground, so that's okay. And then reaching that left leg long behind you. So this left leg should be directly off of you, not out to the side or in. And then press the top of the foot into the floor. Now, usually our hips are not totally square here. So sometimes I like to just curl the toes under, lift that back left knee a little bit, shift that hip forward a little, and then place the knee down and the top of the foot back on the floor. And that way our hips should be a little bit more square. Now, I know you're at home, so you can't fully tell exactly where your hips are. But just try to find that place where they feel the most square. You have that folded blanket should be needed, but let's lengthen and lift through the heart here again, opening through that chest. Keep that opening and that length as you release the torso toward the floor. And then you can either rest your forehead on the floor, you can make a little pillow for your hands. Finding that place that's comfortable for you. If that's too deep, you can stay up on your forearms. We want to rest here and give some time for the back of that right hip to open. So you should feel that opening in there. Now, if you feel that your right hip is really high in the air, maybe you're way up here, you might want to take that folded blanket under that hip to help allow it to relax. So it has some support. It has some support, those muscles are more likely to relax and let go. I'm going to stay here for several breaths. So finding the position that feels the most comfortable for you. And just softening, using your breath. Again, inhaling, drawing into the areas that feel tight to you. And on an exhale, just softening those areas. Now, some of you, this is going to be too deep of a pose to come into. So supine pigeon, where you lay on your back, is another alternative. And while the rest of you are hanging out here, I'll show you the supine pigeon. So if you need to, if this is too much on your knees or your hips, come onto your back and knees bent. You would take your right leg across the right lower leg over the left thigh, and you would clasp behind the left thigh or in front of that left knee and draw that in. So that is the other alternative to this pose. So just taking a few more breaths. In pigeon pose, Ekapada Raja Kapotanasana, one-legged royal pigeon. Lifting your head, lifting the torso. Hands come to about shoulder width as you walk them towards you. Curl the toes under behind you and kind of shift your hips a little bit forward. Yeah, it feels so good to start to release that leg. Let's just come into basically a table position, pushing that ball of that right foot into the floor behind you, just stretching that leg. And just noticing how that leg and foot and hip feel. A lot of energy movement there as we begin to release some of these deep places in the body. Toes curled under from table. Lift up and back to your downward dog again. Stretch nice and long. Deep breath in. Release the head and neck. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, drawing that into the center and out past the left wrist. Drawing those left toes toward the shin, that left heel will be up. Stretching the right leg now behind you, making sure that is straight off the back of your hip there. So again, not out to the right or the left. Pushing the top of the foot into the floor. The foot sometimes will want to sickle in. See if you can keep that nice and straight. Off the foot, off the lower leg. Pushing into the top of that foot. And then if you feel a little unbalanced at the front here, curl those toes under. Shift that right hip forward a little bit, release that knee down, and again, bring the top of the foot to the floor. Lengthening through the torso here, even coming up on fingertips if you want. Getting a little more space. Keep that length, again, that theme through this whole practice, keeping that length and openness. As you release to the floor, letting go. And again, if you feel like you need the support of a folded blanket underneath that left hip, feel free to tuck that in underneath of you. That will, again, allow that hip to relax a little bit more, especially if you're up in the air quite a bit. Breathing and softening. Now, if you need to be in supine pigeon, those of you in full pigeon, stay there. I just want to demonstrate supine pigeon on this side for those of you who may need that as well. So you would be on your back, left leg up, crossing the left lower leg over the right thigh, holding behind you, behind the right thigh or in front of the right knee. Toes of these tweaked knees are always flexed toward the shin, so toes toward the shin, pausing and breathing there. So taking just a few more moments, breathing in your pose on this side. It's really nice to give the body a little time in some of these big poses to allow the muscles some time to relax. With the hips, there's often a little resistance in the beginning where they sometimes will even feel like they tense a little bit more before they soften and let go. So staying with that, staying with your breath. Using that breath as that tool, inviting the breath to the area that feels the tightest. And on the exhale, encouraging those tight muscles to just soften a little more, allowing them the space to release. And then gently beginning to lift the torso up again, walking the hands towards you, taking the hands about shoulder width apart, curl the right toes under, shift those hips forward. Yay, releasing that left leg, coming to somewhat of a table position, pushing into the ball of that left foot, just releasing that leg. Sometimes you'll feel some heat or some tingling as we've begun to move stagnant energy in some of these stuck places. And then let's come back to table for a moment. From table, we're going to come into revolved child's pose. So right palm is up, coming under the left arm, coming into the right shoulder. So a couple of things here. You can, if you're not feeling comfortable here, shift your hips a little bit forward or back. Usually you can find a spot that feels comfortable. You can keep your left hand pushing down into the floor, encouraging the torso to open to that left. Or you can take that left hand up to the sky, bend the elbow, let it rest behind you, or even reach for that right thigh. In all of our twists, I want you to think about inhaling, creating space and length through the spine. There's these spaces between each vertebra where the discs are. Imagining those spaces as you inhale, becoming a little bit more spacious. And as you exhale, we're keeping that spaciousness as we open a little more in your twist, even if it's just like micro millimeters. I love this twist for that mid and upper back opening it gets to. Begin to take that left arm to the floor if it was up overhead, lifting that torso back up. Let's just do a little cat-cow here. Inhale, open through the chest, lift the sits bones up. Press into the hands, release the sits bones and head toward the floor. Come back to table. Left hand palm up under the right, coming onto the left shoulder and the left side of the head. Right hand pushes into the floor, or taking that right hand to the sky, bends the elbow, let it rest behind you, or reach for the left thigh. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, opening a little deeper into your twist. And beginning to release, so taking the right hand to the floor, lifting the torso back up. Come into another cat-cow. Inhale, opening. Exhale, arching. Good. And back to table. We're going to make our way onto our backs. Just one more thing before we come all the way onto our backs. And I'm going to take that roll of blanket again. Hopefully you have that with you still. Rolled blanket. Mine unfortunately has some fringe on it. That doesn't make it super comfortable. I'm trying to keep that down there. So we're going to put this toward the top of our mat. The idea is that I'm going to lay down against this on my back with my shoulder blades resting along this rolled blanket. Keep your knees bent and let the head come to the floor. You can take your arms out in T position and just rest here. So a little bit of a modification of the restorative pose called rolling meadow. We're just doing the upper torso part here. So this is a really nice way to help release some of that stagnant, stuck energy that gets in the upper back when we sit in stare at our computers for long periods of time, especially if you don't have your computer station set up super ergonomically. So breathing here, just allowing that opening in that upper chest. Softening the neck, softening the jaw. Nice deep breath. And I could stay here a lot longer, but let's roll to our right side for a moment. And then just pressing into your left hand, lift the torso back up. I'm going to move that blanket out to the side. We're going to come back into this position on our backs as we get ready for just a little bridge pose. So want your feet on your mat. So if you have a blanket on your mat, make sure your feet are actually resting on your mat. They should be about hip width apart. And then go ahead and bring the torso back down again. So keeping those feet hip width apart. Good. Take your upper arms and press your elbows and upper arms into the floor. So my arms are bent here. Begin to press the low back into the floor and beginning to press into the feet, lift those hips off the floor. Good. You can stay here in bridge pose, or you can begin to walk those shoulders toward each other a little more underneath of you. Taking the hands, if you want, under you, clasping them, pushing the pinky side into the floor. But what I want you to do is try not to turn and look at the screen here. Keep your gaze straight at the ceiling. And just keep your knees tracking in the same distance as your hips and feet. Don't let those knees flare out. And just really engage those glutes and press up nice and high into your bridge pose. Take some nice deep breaths here. It's okay to keep your arms up by your side if this is too much to have them under you. Good, and then walking the shoulders out from under you if they were under you, and pressing into those upper arms. Begin to slowly, mindfully release one vertebra at a time back to the floor. When the sacrum hits the floor, draw the knees in. Just give yourself a nice little squeeze. Good. Release your feet to the floor, arms out again in T position. We're just going to let the knees fall to the right. Just a gentle twist. Inhale, bringing the knees up through the center and letting the knees fall to the left. Good. Inhale those knees through the center. Exhaling them to the right. And again, through the center as you inhale, exhaling them to the left. One more time, inhaling through the center, exhaling right. Inhaling through the center, exhaling to the left. You may have noticed you get a little bit of a massage on that low back sacral area too. Inhale, bringing the knees back up through the center. Hug the knees in nice and tight. Stretch the right leg straight out on the floor, hugging that left knee in just a little more. Lengthen through the spine, through the neck. Hug both knees in again. Stretch the left leg out on the floor. And hug both knees in. We're going to come right into Shavasana from here. So just hug those knees in nice and tight. Deep breath in. And then exhale, just begin to release the legs out on the floor, nice and long, arms out by your side, wherever they land. Hopefully the legs are a little wide. You can flop your legs in and out a little if you want. Roll your head a little side to side. If you have an eye pillow with you, you feel free to put that eye pillow on. If you want to have a blanket over you, feel free to have that blanket over you. Just going to settle into our Shavasana. I'm not going to stay in Shavasana. I'm going to be coming up to a seated position, but I want you all to stay in your Shavasana pose. As we settle in, I'm going to offer you a reading, a poem. Before we get to that, I want you just to feel the feet and release them into the support of the earth, into your mat. Release the lower legs, softening the knees, the thighs, and the hips, all relaxing. They feel heavy. Releasing the sacrum and the low back. See if you can get the sacral area to just let go a little bit. Relaxing the mid back, the ribs, the lower ribs relax, the upper back relaxing. The hands are softening and relaxing, letting go of all they do during the day. Releasing the wrists, the forearms, the elbows, the shoulders, everything softening. The neck, the jaw, the tongue resting gently, maybe touching the roof of the mouth, the teeth slightly parted. The eyes even softening in their eye socket. The ears relaxing. The muscles of the face just softening and letting go. And the scalp softening. I read somewhere that April is National Poetry Month. So as you stay here in your nice and relaxed space, I'm going to read a short poem by one of my favorite authors, Mary Oliver. This one is Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Continue resting with those thoughts for a few more moments in Shavasana. And then again, returning to your breath and allowing that breath to deepen into the belly, the same as we started. The same belly breath that you entered into this world with. Feeling the belly rise with the inhale. The belly button pulling back toward the spine on the exhale. And allowing that breath to expand to your fingers, your toes, your head and neck. Inviting a little bit of movement, whatever movement your body would like to have tonight. Stretching and exploring, listening deeply to what it is your body needs as it comes out of its practice. At some point, you may choose to roll to your right side and rest for just a moment. And invite you again to connect back into that heart center. Feeling that connection with the sense of gratitude that you cultivated at the beginning of your practice. It's calling that back into that space. Sometimes it's hard to feel that gratitude. It takes a few moments, but you'll find the right thing to focus on. There's always something. It can be as simple as being grateful for that breath. And then making your way back to your seated position. Sitting cross-legged, kneeling in hero's pose, or legs out in front. Feeling again the base of your body reaching downward, creating that nice firm foundation for the spine to lift and lengthen. Relax the neck, relax the shoulders. Take your hands to your heart. Take in a nice long deep breath. And exhale a nice long breath through the mouth. Sighing, making any sound. You're home, nobody can hear you. Maybe somebody else in your house can. One more breath in like that. Deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. We'll close class with our one Om. Inhaling. And a short little chant, inviting peace for all beings. You can join me or just listen. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.